So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us this afternoon for the first meeting of Troop and Pack 126 of the Boy Scouts of America and Cradle of Liberty Council, Northern District. I'm Nicole Fulton, and I am the committee chair for both the Troop and the Pack. And I'd like to welcome this afternoon our special guest, Mr. Emery Moorehead, who has so excitedly and graciously agreed to speak with all of our scouts and leaders and parents about his experience in the scouting world of BSA. Mr. Moorehead is a distinguished Eagle Scout, and he's going to tell us more about Distinguished Eagle Scout. We know a lot about Eagle Scout, but what does it take to get to Distinguished Eagle Scout? He is part of our Living History and Village Mentality speaker series this year. Mr. Moorehead, in addition to being a Distinguished Eagle Scout, is also a member of the winning Super Bowl championship team from the Chicago Bears of Super Bowl 2020. And he has other great distinguished and only designations in his career and in his life that he is going to share with us with motivation and inspiration on what it took to reach Distinguished Eagle Scout and how those things played a role in his life and his life choices. So without further ado, Mr. Emery Moorehead, and thank you, sir, again for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here today and share some of the experiences that I've had in my life and how important Boy Scouting played in the role of some of the success that I've had in my life. And, I'll start by, saying that, I got into Boy Scouts really kind of on a whim because my neighbor was in the Boy Scouts. And so I just kind of tagged along with him and then met a lot of good people that were not quite in my neighborhood because he came from another side of Evanston. I was born and raised in Evanston, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago. And I really enjoyed the experience, first of all, because unlike Cub Scouts, which I was involved in, Boy Scouts was more of boys taking charge and becoming leaders. And I think the program is set up so that they can progress a little at a time, a little bit at a time, and get better and better, and eventually take over as a troop leader and then assistant scoutmaster and things like that. So, but I really enjoyed the experience. It taught me so much, and I think really you start off with the character aspect of the scout law, and those things I really took to heart. And I think there's some of the things that lead kids and into young men, into grown men, the values that you need to be successful. And scouting was really one of the first type of goal setting events in my life where there's, you go through your ranks of scouting, and that sets you up to learn how to set goals for yourself. And I eventually made the Eagle rank, and which was, in my area, there weren't that many African Americans Eagle Scouts. I think I was one of like the third or fourth one in my area to attain that. And so it really set me up for beginning of goal setting and learning how to set a goal, learning how to reach a goal, and also the leadership qualities that comes with Boy Scouts. I was really fortunate to be in a troop that had adult leaders that were willing to take the time out of their lives to make sure that the scouts got some of the things that they needed, some of the experiences. And we were a hiking troop. And so we went on hikes like every weekend, and then over spring break, the leaders would take time off from their jobs, pile us in a car, and then drive all over the southern part of the United States, taking hikes, touring battlefields from the Civil War and things like that. It was just a great experience for a young guy at my age to really see some of the things in America that we were not used to. And Ironically today, with the social unrest, when we were traveling through the South, we saw a lot of things that we didn't see in the North, and it was quite an eye-opening for us at that time. Now, Nicole talked about becoming a distinguished Eagle Scout. Well, I played 12 years in the National Football League, and the day I got done, not the day, but I would say the following week, the Northeast Illinois Council, which was the council that I actually got my Eagle Scout under, called me and asked me to come back and participate in scouting and put something back in. Because one of the things about scouting is, especially when you reach an Eagle, is that if you got something out of scouting, you got to put something back in. And I think that serves for just about anything that you do in life. If you're getting something out of it, you have to put something back in it so that other people can experience it. And that's kind of the reason why I'm on the call right now, because I want people to enjoy the experience, to see the experience, and to be able to do those things. And I got back on the Northeast Illinois Council, first as a board member, and then I participated in all types of different positions, from membership, popcorn chairman. I was the minority outreach person. I did the golf tournament to raise money for about 16, 17 years. So I put something back in, and that's how I got Distinguished Scout, because I was on that board up until the day I retired from selling real estate, which I did for 28 more years. So I was on that board for 28 years, and I got a lot out of it. And then when I retired from selling, that's when I retired off of that board. But again, you put something back in when if you got something out of it. So Nicole, I know you had a bunch of questions. I don't have them in front of me. They're over here on my other computer. But I know you wanted to ask, there were some questions on there. In fact, I'll go over there and see that list.
I have them right. I have them here.
Okay.
So Michael and I are going to give the questions. One of the first questions is, which merit badge did you learn the most from, and which one had the most impact on you?
Well, I'd have to say the public speaking merit badge, because when I became a professional athlete, being able to get up and speak in front of crowds and entertain, that all happened because I got the public speaking merit badge and had to earn that. Actually, I'll never forget the guy. His name was, he was a judge, and his name was Burke, or Mr. Burke. And he had me prepare a speech and get up and present it in front of a judge, one of my city judges in the town I lived in. And it was quite an experience. And then after that, I ended up speaking locally in front of like a Knights of Columbus and Kiwanis clubs as I was a high school athlete going to college. And then I was fortunate while I was in college to have one of the coaches at the University of Colorado took me under his wing and had me go around speaking about the University of Colorado athletics across the state of Colorado. So I got a lot out of it. And like I said, by the time I got to be a professional athlete, I was quite adept at speaking to big crowds and entertaining. I think that's the one I got the most out of. There were a lot of merit badges that I enjoyed, because when I went to summer camp, that's when I picked up a lot of merit badges, actually. You pick up 3 or 4 during a 3-week period, swimming, life-saving, mile swim badge, cooking, camping, all of that stuff. So I'd encourage the kids to go to a summer camp if they're trying to get to Eagle, because you can earn a lot of badges that way. And I enjoyed them all. I was a camp bugler because I had a bugling merit badge. So it was just fun for me to earn the badges and keep advancing along the way.
All right.
Great.
Hey, Mr. Emery, this is Mike. So I have a question that seems like a 3-part question, and you may have answered one of them already. So I'm gonna go get started. First question, how old were you when you joined the Scouts? Second, did you ever want to stop scouting? And third, what subject or I guess what badge did you like the most? And I'm assuming, yeah, that's what it meant. And I think you answered that one. But if you want me to repeat those questions, let me know.
Okay. Well, like I said, I got in a year after being eligible, and I was out of Cub Scouts and not doing anything. So I believe I got in at about 12, because I think 11 was the age I think that you entered the Boy Scouts. And I came in a year later, and so I ended up advancing, and there was a time, I think everybody has a time when they wonder whether they can continue. And I think it happened to me right at 8th grade. I was going to people, you start getting different interests. Some of the guys drop out of your troop, and all of a sudden you're in there kind of grinding by yourself. And there was a time there where I thought I was, maybe too old. And that happens to a lot of people between your Life Scout and your Eagle Scout. And sometimes it takes your parents or somebody to push them on and say, go get it. And I was coming out of that, getting ready to go into high school, and I thought right then that I might quit, but I was so close to Eagle, and with a little encouragement from my mother, I stayed in and continued to get the Eagle. So I'm sure everybody has those doubts sometimes when it's not cool, and you think, everybody's doing everything else. Why am I still in Boy Scouts? Well, the experience alone, I think, is worth it. But the thing I think you're going to find out is when you attain the Eagle Scout, you become a very rare person, and it's like a fraternity. And all of a sudden, Eagle Scouts start calling on Eagle Scouts to do stuff. And when you put it on your resume, people go, "Oh, you were an Eagle Scout." That means a lot. It means a whole lot in the business world when people see that, especially when other Eagle Scouts see that. So, you don't know that going in, but I'm telling you now, it's something that you put on your resume, and it helps you down the line. Did I get all those questions, Michael, or no?
Okay, let's go on to the next question.
Hey,
How?
Michael, I'm sorry,
Sure.
Michael. Hold on one quick second. So for everyone that's tuned in, again, thank you and welcome. Um, there is a Q&A button on your screen, so if you have additional questions that you'd like to have answered by Mr. Moorehead today, please send those to us, and we will make sure that we send those forward to Mr. Moorehead during this call.
Okay. All right. Here's another question. How has scouting helped prepare you for the tough, challenging times during your life period?
Well, I think, the main thing that, a lot of times when scouting teaches survival skills, and I haven't been challenged in that area, but those are the areas I think that really give the kids confidence, and that they can do certain things. And I don't care if it's just tying a special knot or survival in the wilderness, and really enjoying the outside. And I think, and I tell people all the time, I don't know if this is answering your question, but I went to the University of Colorado after coming out of an urban area like Chicago because of the outdoors. And I got out there, and it's the first time I had kind of been that far away, and I just loved the area and the outdoors and the opportunity to really enjoy outdoors again. But I didn't get that opportunity then because I didn't know how difficult football and time-consuming football was going to be in college. But when I retired, I returned back to Colorado. Now I do enjoy the outdoors a lot more than I had when I was in college. But and it's kind of funny because I go hiking and stuff with my quarterback from college. We meet every year out there, and we can't believe that we did not do all of this stuff that was available to us out there. But that's how I ended up going to Colorado, because I had went on a national jamboree in Boise, Idaho, and we drove all the way out there from Chicago. We had a troop of about 30, so we had about 5, 6 cars, and we went through Grand Tetons, Yellowstone National Park. It was just beautiful out west, and I think that's one of the things that influenced me the most was that trip that we took out to Boise, Idaho for the National Jamboree. It introduced me to the West, and then when I had an opportunity to go out west for college, because I was getting recruited by all the Big Ten schools and schools in the East, but I really wanted to go out west, and one trip out there to Colorado, and that's how I ended up at the University of Colorado. So I think that was one of the main influences in my life was scouting, and that trip I took out to Boise, Idaho for the National Jamboree.
Hey, I like that because this question kind of goes hand in hand with what you were just talking about. Like, what was your biggest challenge becoming an Eagle Scout, and how did you get through it? And I was just saying to say, hey, I think going out to Boise Idaho kind of made it. But what was your biggest challenge becoming an Eagle Scout, and how did you get through it?
Well, I think we talked about it before. It's that last, 4 or 5 merit badges when you're thinking, you're getting to the point where you might have outgrown it. And, it's easier to stop and quit scouts than it was to keep going. And I think that's the hardest part, the most difficult part is getting that last merit badge and really preparing, because you can get a lot of merit badges doing things that you enjoy, but there are going to be some challenges in there where you have to get merit badges of things maybe you don't enjoy. I mean, it was easy for me to get athletics and things like that. And when you go to camp, they're there readily waiting for you, the rowing, the canoeing, and all that stuff. The challenge is to kind of put yourself in a situation where maybe you're not as comfortable learning about something in order to get, those last few merit badges.
All right. Hey, here's a good one. What did you do for your Eagle Scout project?
I tell you what, they're not as complicated as they are today, because I've seen some really complex Eagle projects. But I talked it over with my mother and some people in the church, and they decided if I came over and helped paint the rectory of the church, that would be my Eagle projects. Now, I've seen Eagle projects, I mean, some complex ones in some of the magazines that they report on some of these kids, and they just get better and better and better. But mine was simpler times, and now you see people with doing complex buildings. And I remember one time this couple years ago, I was out on a hike and I saw a scout, and they had a whole bunch of people helping. I did mine by myself, but I guess now they get so big and so complicated, you end up being like a project manager on some of these things and coordinating, using your leadership skills to get other people to work and do the project that you're doing. And one time I was out on a hike and I saw this troop out there, and they were like rebuilding a walking bridge over an area that was really muddy. And they had about a dozen scouts out there, and it was quite a complex. When they told me that that's what they were doing, his Eagle project, I was like, mine was not that big or complicated, but I guess they just get bigger and bigger all the time. So it takes a lot of planning these days to do them, to get a good project, I guess, today. They expect you to do a lot more. So I would say that would be one of the harder things to do after you get your merit badge, is to plan and put together an Eagle project.
Definitely, yes. These Eagle projects are getting bigger and more complicated, and it takes the whole team. So the project management piece is a good piece for the Eagle anyway. Here's another one. Is there any scout activity or award you feel you missed out on as a scout?
Well, I never got to go to Philmont Ranch, and a lot of people do that, and I knew people that did it in our area, not particularly in our troop, but then talking to other scouters and going, a lot of people went to Philmont, and I felt like I might have missed out on that. The year that I would have went was the year that I went to the National Jamboree. But I felt like that was something I always felt, I think that's a pretty good place. And I hear a lot of good stories about it. And I think I kind of missed out on that one.
Okay. Hey, I think you answered this question, but I'm going to ask anyway. It says, what was the most interesting thing that happened during your journey to Eagle Scout?
Well, I go back to those trips that we took as a troop, our hiking trips, and we would go all through Tennessee and uh, Georgia and Alabama and take these Civil War trips and hike these hikes where the battles of Vicksburg was and uh, all those type of things. And I think it was very interesting to see these places and, kind of go back in history and reimagine what it must have been like. And I think that was one of the fun things and one of the great things that we did. And it also exposed me and the rest of the kids in my troop to some racial inequalities that are in America. Because you have to look at this. I was doing this in the 60s, and, the South was pretty much still segregated at the time. And for us Northerners going down there and see I never forget, we went to a Dairy Queen, we're driving, and we stopped in Huntsville, Alabama at a Dairy Queen. And me and another scout were the first two in line. And the guy was going color line over to the side, color line over to the side. And we didn't know what he was saying. And then we looked over and there were like 3 or 4 black kids in line over there. And they wouldn't serve us. And our troop leaders came up and said, "What's the deal?" And they said, "We're not serving Negroes at the time in this line. Y'all have to go to the side." And we wouldn't go. And then they slammed the door down, the window down, and closed up until we left. And that was a shocker to us, being from the North, because while we had heard of it, we had never experienced it. And that was quite a shock.
Wow. And the things that go on today, it's remarkable. Here's a question. How did being a scout help you get to the NFL or become a good NFL player?
Well, I think it's, the motto is such a correct thing for everybody in life. Be prepared. And, when I look at my 12-year career and some of the people that came and went and the lack of preparation that some guys didn't quite get, that motto, be prepared, says it all. Preparation is everything. If anything is more, there's nothing more important when you're going into a meeting or going into a situation than being prepared. And I think that pretty much says it all right there. I mean, scouting, number one, it gives you the leadership to lead on the field. I was captain in high school, captain in college, captain at some points, not all the time in the NFL. But leadership is a big thing. And some people take it on and some people don't want it. And so I'd say the leadership qualities of Boy Scouts are very important, because anytime you're in a team situation, people are depending on you to do your job. And preparation, be prepared. Anything you do in life, be prepared. Every meeting you go into, be prepared. And on a football field, you have to look at all your options. Knowing what happens in every situation, and that calls for preparation. If I'm out running a route as a tight end, and you got to know where everybody is on the field, and that takes film study and preparation. And I think that helps a lot, knowing that you have to be prepared, and that motto says it all. As I said, be prepared.
You hear that, scouts? Be prepared. You can't not understand what those 2 words mean. Be prepared. Exactly. You will find that out when you get out there in life. I got a couple more questions here. If you could make a merit badge, what would it be?
I could make a merit badge. I tell you, it would have to do I would like a merit badge. It'd have to be something on like a better understanding of people, like a communications, an understanding of other people, looking at other people and being able to see their side of view, to understand, it's kind of a listening merit badge. I think those are skills that people don't develop even as adults, is how to listen and to, really take another person's viewpoint and see where they're coming from before you respond to what they're saying. And, I've learned that late in life. So that would be something, I think, a skill that everybody, and if the Boy Scouts could somehow teach that, boy, that'd be very advantageous for a person going forward in life.
I couldn't agree on you more with that one. I, I have another question, but I want to ask a question before I get to this question. When going out for interviews, and the Eagle Scout was on your resume, was that always a good topic?
Yeah. Well, you never know who's across the table. But if you got a scouter across the table, a guy that participated in scouting, they know what it means. They know if you have an Eagle Scout in there, and I've heard many of people say they have gotten jobs, the guy would tell them, we saw you were an Eagle Scout, and our CEO is an Eagle Scout, and he saw that too. And, that's important. Like I said, you can't go wrong when you put that on your resume, because it really lifts you up. If there's a tie, the people are going to look at character, and they don't know you. They know you're going to have a certain set of standards and character because you were an Eagle Scout. So yes, that's important to put on, and I think a lot of people have gotten a foot in the door because they were an Eagle Scout. And as any time you go for a job interview or something like that, the hardest part is getting in the door. Once you get in the door, it's up to you to perform, but getting in can be hard sometimes. So that's a good thing to have on your resume, is an Eagle Scout.
All right. All right. One more here. Was there anything in Scouts that helped physically prepare you for the NFL?
Well, I think as an athlete, the more things you can do, the more versatile you are, the better you're going to be. And I really think the versatility of earning all of those merit badges, especially the athletic ones, really rounded out, my whole athletic career. I know people specialize today, and when they want to play football or basketball or whatever, but being able to just, the strength you get from earning a rowing merit badge, and just, the exercise, that really built up my upper body. The rowing, the athletics, and doing all those different things for athletic merit badges, I think really helped round out a complete athlete in me. And so those were all very important, but those were also, to me, an easier merit badge. So I think those things, that helps round you out as an athlete. And again, you're doing stuff you don't do. I mean, how many people have a place where they can go rowing or canoeing and stuff like that, or earn a life-saving merit badge or something like that? Those are things that were maybe not, life-saving maybe wasn't something that I wanted to do, but I felt like if I got the swimming merit badge, you might as well get the life-saving merit badge. And so I think the swimming also well rounds your body as an athlete. So all those different things along the athletic side of merit badges, I think, helped round me as a professional athlete.
Oh man, that is great. If anyone has any more questions, because I haven't seen any more questions in the Q&A. If you have one, please type it in. But we're out of questions for right now. Nicole?
All right. Thank you, Michael. So I just wanted to talk a little bit more, Emery, about Mr. Moorehead, about some of the things that you mentioned in your speech here. You said that you became a scout from the 8th grade, and then you did mention that you were playing football in high school and in college. How did you balance the two? And you were doing merit badges during summer camp, but throughout the year, the scouting year, what were you doing during that time? Were you still actively
Oh yeah.
participating in your scouting program?
Yeah, I stayed in it all year round, especially when you go to the summer. That's when usually it's slow and you don't do stuff. But I think that kept me active in scouting by going to those summer camps. And during the year, we had troop meetings every week. And then I mentioned that we take those big trips during spring break. So our troop was active. And I think that's the key when you're dealing with uh, young people is keep them active. And I know Nicole and I talked about having the girls in scouting. And I think they're attracted to Boy Scouting as opposed to Girl Scouting just because of the activities. Uh, the Boy Scouts, if your troop is active and you're doing things, so it's going to be interesting things there to hold your interest. And I think the girls came and they see their brother doing stuff every week, going to camporees, doing things actively. And I think they want to do that because sometimes these girls are just as athletic, just want to be as active as their brothers. And I think that's what brought that whole movement of getting girls into the Boy Scouts was just that there was just more activity than that was going on in the Girl Scouts. And it kind of challenged them to step their game up now. If they want to get the girls back, they have to do stuff that everybody wants to do, and I think that's a huge difference. So I would just encourage everybody to stay active all year round. Uh, I did, and I did. It's harder today because the kids have so many more activities, whether it's video games, whether it's their parents they play baseball and now they're in a traveling team or soccer with a traveling team, and everybody wants to take up all of their time. So scouting, in essence, is competing with all of that. And so, in order to have a good troop, you got to keep them interested. You got to keep them active.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree. Um, I know that during this time with the COVID-19 shutdown, it's been a little difficult to get our troops
Sure.
together, to get our dens together, and to do activities all as one. But we have been able to do virtual meetings. We have been able to have different opportunities available for families to take their scout to and have them engage in different scouting activities while we are in this situation. So even staying active in that vein, I agree. I think that's the best way to stay connected and engaged and continue it to advance. Do you think so?
Yes, sure. It's got to be difficult today in this age when you can't have large gatherings and 6 feet apart and trying to do those normal activities that scouters do. So I can imagine it is very difficult. And as I had stated earlier, I'm not on the console anymore. So I'm not attuned to what they're doing or how they are going to do it. And some things have gotten delayed and some things have gotten canceled. I know that the golf tournament that they're putting on was delayed and they're trying to put it on later on, actually this month for an event that was supposed to take place in June. So, but they're doing it very limited. Only a limited number of people can participate, and there's no big dinner afterwards. And they're bringing box lunches instead of a sit-down lunch. So people you have to adjust as to what you're doing in these times because it's a lot different. And so it takes everybody to put their brains together to try to create some kind of interest to keep this thing going because, you don't want to lose their attention, especially like we talked about. Sometimes, people are wavering and thinking about quitting. So you have to stay on top of them, give them some activities. And, Zoom meetings are great for them to see their friends, even if they can't participate in some things. But being able to adjust is going to be very important probably for at least about another year, I'd guess.
Yeah, I would agree. And then we, like I said, we have the troop, which are the 11 to 17-year-olds with opportunities with a patrol leaders council. And so they have opportunities to create service projects and things of that nature so that our patrols and our scouts can get out and do different things that are scout oriented, but also service connected.
Yeah, I would also maybe contact National uh, uh, Association. They might have some ideas. They're out of Dallas, and maybe get some ideas for them, or maybe talk to other councils and how are they handling this pandemic and getting together with kids. You have to explore every opportunity and turn over every rock to try to find things that how people are putting this together, because it's got to be very tough to do.
Yes, definitely agree with you there. I know when we first talked, Mr. Moorhead, we had a great long discussion about your experience with scouting. So there are some questions that I've been holding on to since that conversation and
Okay.
that you've given me some leads for. And one of those is that you mentioned the challenges of earning those last badges to finish your Eagle rank and how difficult that is. Well, first, my question is, how diverse was your troop and what was your troop number?
I was Troop 27 out of Evanston, Illinois, and we had a pretty diverse troop because the community of Evanston was a community of diversity. And there was just a lot. We probably had about, I'd say maybe about, probably similar to what Evanston was at that time. That's probably about a 22 to 25% Black population. And so our troop was pretty integrated racially, because Evanston had a lot of different nationalities. We have Mexicans, we have uh, uh, Haitians and Jamaicans and Asians. So we had a little bit of everything in there, but we had a pretty solid, I'd say about 20% of our troop was African American.
That sounds like a really good mix.
It was. That was our community, though. Our community was like that. Northwestern University's there, so there's a lot of educated educators, and and then we were right with the first suburb north of Chicago, so there were people, wanting to get into the Evanston school system so that they could take advantage of programs like scouting that just weren't available in the other neighborhoods. So it was a really good mix, and it also kind of helped everybody get along so that later in life you're not shocked at you have to work or do things with people from other races and nationalities. And I saw that at the University of Colorado when we had kids come up on the football team that went to all African American high schools. And then you had kids from Colorado that went to all white high schools. And first time they ever had a Black guy on the football team. And same thing for the Black guys. First time they ever had to work with a white person. So diversity and getting along is something that's going to happen at some point. So, and I think, the more experiences you have in life, the more you're going to be able to adjust. And by getting these kids in this council, being able to go to Camp Reeves and see kids from other councils, and then getting to go to national jamborees and seeing kids from all over the world, this helps your whole experience in life that you're going to see eventually, that you might not ever see growing up in inner city Philadelphia until you're 18 years old and leave home and go to college or something. So it's good to take the kids. And like I said, we experienced that experience down south that really opened up the eyes for everybody, not just the African American kids, but our scout leaders and other kids in the troop too. And I think that was something that I would have never experienced, probably because I would not have gone down south into those areas without that experience. So I think diversity is a key to being successful in America. And you can get it through athletics and participating on teams and learning to work together. You get it in life's experiences. So, being diverse and experiencing different things is going to be helpful also in the long run.
Right, I couldn't agree with you more. Where our troop is located and where our chartered organization is located is actually on the demarcation line between Philadelphia and another county, and it is a very diverse area. However, the bulk of our troop is African American, and the bulk of our congregants at our chartered organization are African American. However, with the different opportunities in looking at different merit badges, even throughout the city and going outside of the city, the troop does get exposure. And I agree with you that just taking advantage of those opportunities to meet people of different races and different areas is what's going to happen when they are pursuing different merit badges. So, for instance, I think we did I think it was it wasn't environmental, it was emergency preparedness. And so we went to Philadelphia's Emergency Preparedness Center and met different people, and they learned different things. So, and I think they do that a lot when they do the merit badge colleges, but actually going into workplaces and meeting people gives our troop a good opportunity.
Good, good.
And so with that, you know that the Boy Scouts of America has recently announced a new Eagle required badge called the Diversity Badge.
Oh, really? Good.
So it hasn't yet, and it hasn't been released yet, but I just was wondering, what were your thoughts on that? I can't even tell you what the requirements are because it's not out there yet, unless Lance is aware.
Yeah, we talked about that already. So that's great that there is a diversity badge, because we talked about it earlier about, the advantage of being diverse and being sensitive to other people and their thoughts. And so I think that we don't know what the requirements are, but I think that'd be a great badge to add, along with my listening badge.
Definitely, that needs to be one of the requirements, right?
Yes, yes.
And so with that, how many badges were you required to earn to achieve Eagle Scout?
You would ask me that. I think it was either 18 or 21. I think it might have been 21 and I got stuck at 18 or something. That's why that 18 is in my mind. I think I got stuck around 18 and had to squeeze those last three out.
Uh-huh.
And I think, what is it now, like 26 or something? Or
No, it's 21 now.
21? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think it's always been 21, except for a short period when there was 24, it looks like.
Okay.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah, that makes it a little tougher.
And so you earned Eagle, and from being the board for the council, distinguished Eagle.
Okay, you broke
So
up.
I've been asked a lot, what is this? What do you have to do to get distinguished? Because I believe there's an understanding about earning palms, and I
Palms, yeah.
believe that's yeah.
Yeah, palms is another separate.
So what's the difference between this?
Well, the distinguished
What's the
eagle,
difference between this? Mhm.
you're kind of breaking up, but I'm thinking you're asking about the distinguished eagle. And I think you have to be put in a number of years of service, and it has to be after, I think it's 25 years after you attained your eagle or something like that. But you get it for putting in a lot of daggone time. Volunteer time is what you do. And it's similar, first you get the Silver Beaver Award. I got that along the way. But it's just a recognition it's just a recognition of time put in to help scouting keep going and surviving. And, like I said, once you get something out of something, you got to put it back in. And I would have never done it if they hadn't asked me to do it. And so don't be afraid to ask somebody to put something back in if they got something back out, especially if that person is an Eagle Scout, because that's what they tell you at your court of honor, is you're going to have to put something back in to keep your tradition going. And I took it figuratively and literally. And when they asked me, I went to work. And I did it until I retired from selling real estate and playing football. So it was something that I volunteered for basically my whole life because I got so much out of it. And they recognized that with a Distinguished Eagle that I got. And I'm very appreciative of that. And, one of the great things I got when I got my Distinguished Eagles, I got a letter from Commissioner Football. That I was very proud of that too. And he was very proud that I got it as well. So Roger Goodell sent me a letter saying, congratulations, and he made a proclamation, and that was good to be recognized by your former employers, a number of years later. So I was very happy about that.
That is exciting because that's a perfect lead into my next question. Because one of the things that really motivated me to contact you was the fact that you are the only African American NFL Super Bowl champion who is not only an Eagle Scout, but a Distinguished Eagle Scout.
Yes.
Out of a group of maybe 20.
Yeah. And, it's, and I can tell you another experience that I had where an Eagle Scout was very handy. I'm on a board of the National Football League Players Association. It's called the Gene Upshaw Player Assistant Trust, where we give money back to athletes or football players that are in need, emergency need. And we have a pretty big size budget that we handle. And we were going through an investment firms that we were interviewing for to take over our investments on our charity side. And lo and behold, one of the guys was an ex-NFL player that was an Eagle Scout. And for me, and I told the group when we were interviewing afterwards, I said, to me, that's the guy. Not only is a player, but he's an Eagle Scout. And I trust that guy more than I trust anybody else that we have interviewed. And the guy got the job. So just speaking again back how important it is to get an Eagle Scout, he put it on his resume. I saw it right there, and he had my vote right away.
Yeah, that is very admirable because you don't hear of many NFL players who are in scouting.
They're there. They're there. You have to search for them because, as an NFL player, they might not be on their NFL resume, but when they get out of the NFL, that's when you hear about it. That's when you hear about it. Unless they had it in their college, their bio in college or something like that, then that's, it'll probably come out later. But there's probably more than people realize, actually. There's probably more than people realize. And I think by getting back involved in scouting, that's how my profile was sort of uplifted in scouting because I was back in it and I was proud to be back in it, proud to be an Eagle Scout. And then everything else that I had accomplished, it kind of reflected the fact that I was in scouting, and people like that. They like that. They like that.
Most definitely. We definitely like it.
Yeah. And it's tough. I think the tougher thing scouters you just have to stay on the grind because sometimes it's not cool to be a scout. When you're pushing and trying to accomplish something, there's always going to be people that are not going to support you. And they're not going to like you, or they think you're not, that's not cool. So you got to stay with it and grind it on out. And I tell you, the way I got through so fast the Eagle, because I got it right before my 16th birthday, was that I went to those summer camps, and those summer camps provide opportunities to get multiple badges. And once you get the multiple badges, you start going through the ranks of, up to life, and then you got to keep going to get the Eagle. And if anything that helped me the most, it was going through those summer camps and picking up those badges that are kind of hard to get when you're in an urban area. I talked about it before, like the rowing and the canoeing and all those outdoor type badges. I wish I could find my sash, and I go through that sash and tell you how many of those I got up in summer camp. And that's the key. You can get through scouting a lot faster by participating in some of those. And sometimes I know our council used to have weekends where they have, okay, we're going to have a council weekend. We're going to meet at the council headquarters, and we're going to have merit badge counselors there that are going to give an X badge this weekend. And those are other ways that you can improve and quickly to on that trail to Eagle Scout.
That sounds like some really great advice, because our council does provide those opportunities even now, where they don't necessarily have to be troop-based, but family-based, and they still can take advantage of the different opportunities to earn badges and to do the different activities. So that is great advice. So we talked about scouting a lot, and we mentioned a little bit about the NFL. Can you tell us more about your days in the NFL? Like from the time that you were drafted into it, how was that?
Well, back in those days, it was pretty rough. The first year I played in the NFL, 1977, the training camp was 2 months long. And there were 6 preseason games and 14 regular season games. And as rookies, you came in a week early. It was actually 9 weeks long because we had the scrimmage. I played for the Giants, so we'd have the Giant rookie scrimmage. Then the veterans would come in, and it was 2 months from then. So it was very long and very difficult in the beginning. But like anything, it's a grind, and you got to be the survivor. You have to be the survival of the fittest. That's exactly what happened. People would fall off and get hurt, and then other people get opportunities, and that's how you get a chance to shine. And that happens in every sport. What was it, Wally Pipp or somebody got hurt, and then these kids probably never heard of Wally Pipp, but Lou Gehrig never missed a game. He came in and played like 2,000 consecutive baseball games or something. And just about of taking advantage of an opportunity. Somebody got hurt, and then somebody stepped in, and they never got the job back. And that was very similar to what happened to me as wide receivers were going down in training camp. And I ended up starting the very first game because everybody was hurt. Everybody wanted to get back in for the first game, but I went through the whole camp, and I ended up being on top of the depth chart. And those were long, and the Giants were not a very good team. In fact, you thought, here you go right here. I was on the Giants when the fumble occurred. They call it the fumble in New York, and they call it the miracle in the Meadowlands in Philadelphia. But I was on the Giants that day, and I'll never forget it. We had the game won. All we had to do was sit on the ball, and Joe Pisarcik, our quarterback, handed off to Larry Zonka, the fullback, hit him on the hip, and in one bounce, Herm Edwards picked it up. They had no timeouts, and he ran for a touchdown, and we lost the game. And back then, there was no security or anything after the game. And we had to come out and go to our cars. We were out there just like everybody else's car. And our quarterback's car was kicked in, dented, and the antenna was broken off. And it was a mess. But that was kind of my introduction to what it was like to be a professional football player. And and dealing with those New York fans. I mean, they're similar to Philadelphia fans. They're not quite as brash and I don't want to say nasty, but they're very knowledgeable like Philadelphia fans. And they tell you what you did wrong before you went to the meeting on Monday after the game, and then you have to hear it again from the coach. But they knew exactly what wrong with a team. So those are some of the best fans, I think, the most knowledgeable fans there are out there. Then I got traded to the Denver Broncos, and I played 1 year in Denver, and then a new coach came in. He didn't quite like all my style. And so I got cut. I got cut in my college hometown. And then I came, the Chicago Bears picked me up, my hometown. And I went through the rest of the training camp here in Chicago. And then on the very last cut, they released me. And so I missed the first 7 games of the 1981 season, and then got picked up for the last remaining 9 games. And then there was a coaching change in Chicago, and I ended up playing another 7 years. So there's disappointment and there's rejection, but you can never give up. And going from getting cut in my college hometown, then cut in my high school hometown, and then coming back and then playing another 7 years and winning a Super Bowl, all it is, you have to have a lot of grit and a lot of determination. And a lot of people may say no to you, but you got to keep believing and you got to keep fighting. And that's kind of, that's the story of Emery Moorehead, is that, it doesn't always perfect, but, it worked out pretty good for me in the end.
That is awesome. And we had a comment from one of our troops who said that Philly fan description you gave is taken as a compliment.
Yeah, I tried not to, be too harsh, as you Philadelphia fans can be, which is, but it is. I mean, you guys are the ones that boot Santa Claus and everything. You'll never live that down as Philadelphia fans.
Hey, you're definitely right on that one. Excuse me, Cole. We have another question from one of our scouts. Have you ever gotten hurt playing football? Sounds like you made it through without it.
Well, football is a very physical game and a very rough game. And in those days, you played with a lot of pain. You played while you were hurt. And it's not so much today, because when you sign a contract today, they give you your guaranteed money up front. So a lot of guys don't want to play unless they're, 100% or 90%. But as I said before, back then when people got hurt, other people played, and you never want somebody in your position. So yes, I played hurt a lot, and I had my one knee. I had surgery on it my second year. I had a ligament or cartilage removed. And then my third year, I was reaching for a pass up above my head, and I got hit in the kidney, and a helmet pinched against my kidney and my rib cage and caused internal bleeding, and they had to go in there and cut that little piece off right there in order for the kidney to heal, and because it was internal bleeding. And then other than that, I mean, you play with the bumps and bruises, the normal bumps and bruises, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it and tell you that it was not a physical game and that you do damage your body, because your body basically, it's made for walking, a little bit of hiking, riding a bike. It's not made for playing football. It's very physical, and you have to build up your body. If you're thinking about playing football, you have to get in the weight room, build up your body, build strength around all the joints, build your muscles, because as you can see on TV, these guys are huge, they're big, they're fast, and I look at it now and I just see the strength and the speed of the game now. It's much different than it was when I played in the 80s, because generation after generation, the athletes are better, bigger, stronger, faster. So you're thinking about playing football at high school or something like that, build your body up, get it strong, get it ready for the competition, because you have to have, your body is what you're going to make a living on if you do it. and it has to be in tip-top shape.
Yes, sir, because it's a different game than back then, and you guys did play hurt, and you see how the different protocols are going on today compared to back then. When you would hit and you say, "Oh, I just got my head wrung," and you went back in, you get
That's
hit today. Yes, that's a concussion. And so it's a big difference compared to what you did back then. And I guess I can answer this question really, but someone said, were you on the 85 Bears? Yes, Super Bowl 20 was that 1985. And he was on that dominant defense that they had, that 46.
Yeah, that team was voted by USA Today last year in the 100th anniversary of the NFL as being the best team of all time. And it was a very special team, and I was very lucky to be on it, especially when you look back at how I got there the second time, and just to be there and to have it all gel at the right time. It was a very special time. And of course, Buddy Ryan left to go to Philadelphia the next year. And while we won, I think we were the next year we only lost 2 games, and then the next 2 years or 3 years we only lost 4 games. But we never attained the greatness than that single season in 1985, which was very special. And it turned a lot of people on to football that year because we had so many characters. Jim McMahon was the quarterback, and he was doing national commercials with the sunglasses on, and Refrigerator Perry was a rookie, and he was like a phenomenon. He had his own cheerleading squad called the Fridgettes. And then, they did the Super Bowl Shuffle. I was not in the Super Bowl Shuffle, so I know that's going to be the next question. But the Super Bowl Shuffle became a platinum record. It sold more video copies, only second to Michael Jackson's Thriller at that time. And several women came up to me and said, I never watched football until the 1985 Bears, and now they love football. Because there was a character on that team for everybody. We had Walter Payton, the greatest running back of all time, and then you talk about our 46 defense, which was just. Well, let me put it this way. You could not play defense like that today in the National Football League because just about every hit would have been illegal. But that was the way the game was played back then. I know a lot of people think it should be back that way, but for the safety of the players, and like I said, they're so big, strong, and fast, you have to limit the amount of injuries on the football field or there won't be any football. So I'm all for it. And I know everybody's complaining about, they're taking this out of football, the hitting and all this. But if you're on that football field, you want to protect yourself. And I'm glad that the commissioner and the owners have agreed to, lighten it up a little bit and take care of these guys because they're finding out now. They didn't know about the head injuries, the concussions, the dementia that it might lead to. So now they're trying to make everybody aware that you have to go through a concussion protocol. You have to be checked out by doctors. If you're on the concussion protocol, you have to sit out. These are all good steps to help for the long-term survival of ex-football players.
You are so true on that. Hey, I have 2 more questions that's been added on. What was your favorite moment as an NFL player and a scout?
Well, I think the NFL is simple. It's that Super Bowl. Everybody wants to play on the championship, and it's one thing to get there; it's another thing to win. And if you get there, you got to win it. And that Super Bowl after that game, that was such a great feeling, and we had a good feeling going into the game that we were going to win because we had beat the Patriots earlier that year. And man, when we ended up and that game was over, the utopia, the feeling, just going to after the game, they always have a party in the hotel for the winning, at the hotel you're staying at, and just to see the look on everybody's face and how happy they were that we had won that thing. And it was just a great, great feeling. So that was the most exciting thing that ever happened to me in the football field. As far as Boy Scouts, excuse me, um, I think the most exciting time for me was going to the summer camp, just getting away from Chicago, being up in the north and northern Wisconsin or Michigan. I'm sorry, northern Michigan, and just enjoying outdoors, seeing something other than the concrete around where we were living, and just being in the woods and all those trips, the trips out west to the National Jamboree and going to Yellowstone and seeing bears and just all the wildlife out there. Those were great times. And those are the times, like I said, those are the things that led me to go to choose a college to where I did, because I could have went to school around Chicago area. A lot of schools are in the Midwest here within driving distance, a couple of hours, 4 or 5 hours. But I chose to go away to experience something different, and mostly because of the outdoors. And nothing like the Boy Scouts will let you experience outdoors like that. And that's one thing that I really took from there that I'm really appreciative of.
And it's great because, especially coming from the urban area,
Yes.
we struggle with that. But that's why it's good to be in the Boy Scouts in the urban area. You'll get a chance to do those things.
Yes.
I have a question that's 2-part. It says, "Are you still friends with? And are you still friends and have connection to teammates from your playing days? And then, how did you transition into the workforce after you finished the NFL?"
Okay, I see. Well, this year, of course, is different than any other year because there's no social gatherings. But our 85 Bears team are still in demand all over. And before the pandemic, we had about 5 of us went out to Las Vegas to a trade show. They wanted 5 of us to go out there, and I saw Jim Covert, Otis Wilson went out, Jay Hilgenberg, the center, went out, and there was one other, Willie Galt came in, and we all got together in Vegas. Now that happens every now and then. We were going to have a big autograph sign I think it was in May, that they had to call off. That was going to have about 31 of us at a trade show here in Chicago. It's a big card show, memorabilia show. And we were going to get together then, and we didn't get together. And usually during the summer and fall, the guys that are here in Chicago, we play at a lot of golf tournaments, charity events. And so I get to see those guys quite a bit, the ones that are here in Chicago. And then about every 10 years, sometimes 5 years, like we had a 25-year anniversary as a Super Bowl team. So I do get to see those guys quite a bit. But this year, the last time I saw a lot of those guys was in Las Vegas, and that was only 5 of us. So I haven't seen anybody because there's no huge gatherings, and that's where we are usually seen. So yeah, it's great to see those guys. And what was the second part of the question? I forget.
Was that how did you transition into the workforce after the
transition?
NFL? Yeah.
I was in my 9th year when we won the Super Bowl, and I had some trials and tribulations before, like I said. So I knew that as a 9-year pro, it wasn't going to be many more years left to play. So I got my real estate license that off season. And I started selling in the off season. So really, when I finished after 12 years in January, I went to work the next day in a real estate office because I already had a desk and I already knew what I was doing. And so I went right into real estate and ended up working for that real estate company for my whole career. It's a Berkshire Hathaway franchise now. And I also served on our board of realtors, our association for our area. I ended up being president of that for a term as well. So these leadership things, they come into play all the time. And so when you do get older and when you do get in the workplace, you probably want to volunteer for some boards and figure out, your volunteer work so you can see other things and get into something that interests you and put something back in. And I think it served me well, scouting did, and it served me well to get the leadership to be able to lead our real estate board, which is about 3,000 realtors on this area that I'm in. And that was a great experience. So I walked right into work, and when I got done, it was over, and I'm glad to be retired right now.
I wish I was in your shoes, but yeah, I have a ways to go. I just got another question. I like this one. As a scout, what is the best advice that someone ever gave you that stands out today?
As a scout,
Mhm.
we talked about being prepared. That's great advice, and I think that's really the best advice I ever had. Is taking that literally, that preparation, and preparations are the key to success. Whatever you do, and that's the most important thing, is being prepared. That's the best advice I think I ever got, and it plays in anything and everything that you do. So preparation is the key to relationships. It's the key to being successful as an athlete for me. It was key to being successful in presentations that I had to put on as a realtor to get listings. It's the key to negotiation when I'm negotiating contracts. Preparation is the key. So I think, it goes back to the very first, I think that's probably the first thing you learn in Boy Scouts is the Scout motto, be prepared. So keep that in mind. And if you keep that in mind in everything that you do, you're going to be a successful person.
Uh, can't echo that sentiment enough. Scouts, take heed, be prepared. You already know, but this is going to go for the rest of your life. Nicole, we are out of questions. Final thoughts, because we are down to 15.
Sure, there's one last thing that we didn't touch on yet, and that is, Mr. Moorehead, I understand that your son is also an NFL Super Bowl champion. And so that you both hold the distinction of being the first father-son Super Bowl champions in the NFL. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, my son, it's funny you mentioned that. As parents, you never know what your kids are doing, thinking about, and you think you're preparing them, and you hope they listen. And he was a guy like, I didn't ever really think he was listening and paying attention, but he did. He did. And he went from a high school walk-on at the University of Illinois. He didn't get drafted by any team. He didn't get invited to the NFL Combine, but he signed as a free agent with the Indianapolis Colts. He made the team. He didn't make, not a practice squad. He made the team as a fourth receiver and played for 5 years, I'm sorry. Marvin Harrison, he played behind Marvin Harrison, a Philadelphia native. And he played 5 years, and they won a Super Bowl his third or fourth year. And he just, the guy, I'm so proud of the guy. And I'm going to tell you something you didn't know. He's the wide receiver coach for the Philadelphia Eagles, believe it or not. And first year there. And he went back after he got done playing, didn't know what he was going to do. And he started at the bottom as a graduate assistant at University of New Mexico. Then he went to Stanford as an assistant receiver coach, and then got an opportunity to coach at Virginia Tech through a connection through Stanford. And he coached there, went to A&M, Texas A&M, coached down there through another referral from Stanford. And then those guys got fired, and he ended up at Vanderbilt with the coach who left Stanford to be the head coach at Vanderbilt. And so I say all of that because a lot of times it's who you know and how you impress people when you get a chance to impress them with work ethic and just, grinding it out. I mean, here's a guy that didn't get a chance to get a full scholarship out of high school, didn't even get a look in the combine, but he kept pushing, didn't quit. And then he started at the bottom as a graduate assistant, and now he's an NFL coach. So the story goes on. I mean, it just, you know, you got to put in the time, and when you get an opportunity, you got to do the job. And when you do the job, you got to you meet people, and people refer you, and that's how life goes. It's all about the connections and who you know. And he was very fortunate to get in that Stanford program where they became a ton of coaches around college football, and they referred it to everyone. They kept referring him, and everywhere he went, he was successful. So hopefully he'll have some success with the Eagles.
Well, you know what'll happen if he doesn't.
Yeah, the Philadelphia fans will tell you about it. That's what happened. They'll tell you when you're not successful.
And so your son, he wasn't involved in scouting though, was he?
Well, you know, here was a guy, like I'm saying before, there's so many different things going on. And sometimes in the area, like the area he grew up in, there's opportunity to do everything and anything that you want. And he was in too many programs. And he missed out because he was doing so many different things that he said, you know, everybody's going on a weekend camping trip and I can't go because I've got a game here or I've got this there. And so he felt like he was missing out on the good things. He was attending meetings, but he just felt out that he wasn't getting, you know, he wasn't getting the fun things like I had, you know, because there's so many things for these kids to do today. And this area that we grew up in, it was just, everybody was in everything, and he felt that, you know, he had to give something up because and he was missing all the good things in scouting, so he gave scouting up. I can't remember what grade he was in when he did, but I didn't want to pressure him to do it because I understood that, you know, I understood what he was missing, you know, because I had been down that road. And to me, if you're not having fun, then, you know, why are you doing it? And he was missing out on the good stuff.
Totally understood. Well, as Michael said, we are coming close to the end of the time that we scheduled to take out of your day today. But if there's some lasting questions that anyone has, please send those quickly. Otherwise, I'm going to ask Mr. Moorehead if he has some last statements that he'd like to give to encourage our troop and our families to continue on in the scouting, even under these uncertain times.
Well, I think it's, you know, it is very difficult times right now to get a lot out of scouting, but, you know, life is ever evolving and we have to make changes. And as parents, you know, I'd encourage them to stick to it. You know, if my mother hadn't encouraged me to stick to it when I wanted to think about, you know, girls and everything else and doing other stuff, you know, I would have never done it, and I would have missed out on the things that scouting can help bring to your life. And and as I explained about my son and in my NFL career, there's ups and downs and everything. This is to the kids, the scholars, you know, there's going to be ups and downs, and you know, but you got to fight through them. I mean, there's no smooth road to success, and that includes the Eagle rank. You have to stick to it, and you got to want it. And all things come from within. You got to have it in your heart. I mean, I've seen a lot of people that say they want stuff, they say they want to play football, but if you don't really have a dying desire in your heart to get better or a desire to do it, you're not going to achieve it. So if you want to go through scouting and achieve an Eagle rank, you got to motivate. You have to be self-motivated most of the time. And when the going gets tough, parents, you know, encourage them to stick it out. And the tough time is between Live Scout and Eagle Scout, because that's generally when they're getting into the age that there are a lot of other things going on out there, and they might be tempted to quit, but encourage them to stay in it, because once you get that Eagle rank, you're always an Eagle. And there's never a time when you're not an Eagle. And that is going to carry over into so many opportunities. If you let people know, it's going to carry over to a lot of opportunities. So it's very important just to stick it out. When the going gets tough, the tough get going, as Vince Lombardi used to say.
Wonderful, wonderful quote to end with. I can't thank you enough for your time today and for agreeing to be our very first speaker, especially since football just started, and how relevant you are to our troop and the history of scouting. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for your time.
I appreciate you, Nicole. And, as I said before, sometimes you have to live and reach outside of your comfort zone. And Nicole reached out to me, and I was first thinking, who, what, what am I going to talk to, a Boy Scout troop? I'm used to speaking to, big councils and banquets and for scouting and everything. But she reached out and she's asked. And so if you want something, you got to ask for it, guys. To the scouting, don't be afraid to step out and ask for something, just like Nicole asked me. That's why I'm here. I have to give her the credit for reaching out, and for, not many people would have thought I would have been here. I really believe that, but I'm here because she reached out. And that's a typical example of, following your heart, doing what's right, and trying to get something done for the Scouts. So I appreciate your effort, and it's been a great afternoon. I enjoyed speaking, and I hope somebody got something out of this. And if you did, put something back in.
Thank you so much.
Definitely appreciate you. Thank you. I know I got something out of it myself.
All right, Michael. I appreciate you and Lon and Greg. So we really enjoyed. I really enjoyed our time this afternoon.
Yes, I believe the Scouts did too. From the questions and the excitement that they're sending over. Yes, they enjoyed it as well.
All righty. Thank you. You guys have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Peace.
Peace. That was great.